Well, one last time, West in the world, good morning, and welcome to your review video for Thursday, December the 12th, following our final class period this morning as we reflected together on the shape of the new world order in which we find ourselves living. The major emphasis in class this morning was trying to discern, briefly, what has become of the world since the end of the Cold War. Now, of course, this is very much outside the realm of history in the sense that it's really far too recent to be interpreted with any certainty. But we talked a little bit about what the major issues are and what kinds of perspective they offer us. I tried to make the argument that there are sort of two ways of thinking about the world, or that there have been sort of two major ways of thinking. One more optimistic, represented in the thinking of Francis Fukuyama, who says that we're moving in the direction of a world unified by similar kinds of political and economic systems that ensure relative prosperity and stability. On the other hand, we said there's Samuel Huntington's more pessimistic perspective that suggests that our world, although it may see more further modernization, is unlikely to achieve anything like long-term stability or security, but rather that our differences will continue to create tensions. Both of these, we said, there's evidence to believe might be the case. It's really too soon to discern which case is right, but we talked about cases like the East Asian tigers, Taiwan and Singapore, or the case of South Africa, as evidence that might support Fukuyama's position. But of course we said that cases like that of the Middle East and the situation on 9/11 in 2001 in this country sort of suggest that perhaps Huntington's viewpoint is more accurate. And then of course there are the grand cases, the great problematic cases like that of China, that really transcend easy categorization into one school of thought or another. All of that, of course, is significant, but hard perhaps to summarize without simply repeating all the points that we made in class. So I thought that I would conclude by offering a few sort of observations about the 20th century that may or may not be useful to you as you prepare for your final exam tomorrow morning. The themes that we've been developing explore a couple of core issues. One, we began in our discussion of the 20th century by talking about World War I and the linkages that exist between World War I and World War II. As you're preparing for your exam, I'd encourage you to think deeply about how those events are related to one another. What do they share in terms of causes and the courses of those conflicts? The direction from World War I into World War II, of course, brings us into the era, or out of World War II, into the era of the Cold War. And in the Cold War, we saw this great ideological, political, economic, athletic competition between two rivals at opposite ends of the ideological spectrum. You want to make sure that you understand what's at stake and what the relative positions of either of those two sides are. Furthermore, you want to make sure that you understand the ways in which people responded to these Cold War tensions. How did it affect their thinking and their behaviors to experience these Cold War realities? And of course, we've made a central issue of understanding the way in which the Cold War and the climate of the second half of the 20th century has fundamentally altered the political map of the world as we know it today, through the processes of decolonization especially, and understanding why it is that decolonization takes place at this particular juncture of the 20th century. These, I think, are the major themes that we'll need to understand, and as well as, of course, the causes for the end of the Cold War. How do these plotted points, the great wars of World War I and World War II, through the Cold War and decolonization, into the post-Cold War environment and the world we live in today? That's the story that your exam will be centering on, that we've been focused on in these past few days. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Good luck with your exam prep.